Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everybody that is here tonight. Good evening, the ones that are watching us uh, by the web. We are going to start a meeting tonight. We are going to have Miriam today talking about misfortunes, right? Okay, so it's going to be a great topic. And then I invited all of you to a quick prayer so we can connect to ourselves and connect to something that is bigger than us also. Dear God, we are here tonight to learn, to connect, to feel like you are inside of us, to feel and to experience a higher vibration. We are here tonight because we wanted to become a better person. We wanted to live life with joy, love, compassion, forgiveness. And we are here to connect to all this. And with that, we ask for the ones that are in worse situation than us, maybe in a hospital right now. And we send our good intention to them, good vibrations and energy, because we recognize that we are all brothers and sisters. We are all here together to learn how to love one another. And you give us this opportunity in this lifetime to exercise this and to amplify our capability to love beyond family and friends. And we are so grateful to be here tonight. We are so grateful for this opportunity. So with that, in the name of the mentors of our house, in the name of our Master Jesus Christ, in the name of a God, we will open our meeting tonight. So be it. So with that, I invite Miriam to come here and talk to us.
Here? Okay. Yeah? Okay. All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about misfortunes. The world as we know today has faced a lot of misfortunes. Collective misfortunes, individual misfortunes. We've all faced it somehow. And I thought that was a relevant topic to speak about, considering the times we're living. So my lecture, or my study, I don't like to call it a lecture. I don't see myself as a speaker, but more as a teacher, as I am. My study is based on these two books, After the Storm, from Joanna de Angelis and psychographed by Divaldo Pereira Franco, And the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 5, which is Blessed are the Afflicted. So that's how, reading these two chapters, I came up with this topic. So, what is misfortune? According to the dictionary, it's an unfortunate condition or event, bad luck. So, that could be a storm that all of a sudden hit us. It could also be a broken relationship, could be considered by some people a misfortune. It could be that somebody is impaired. A tornado reaching a city, a whole town, a state. A virus could be considered a misfortune. And also an accident could be considered a misfortune. And a tornado, a hurricane and a tornado. So all of this, depending on the way we look at them, could be considered misfortunes in people's lives. But what do people think about misfortune? How do they react about it? So some of them that don't have any money believe that they are victims of adversity. Other people receive in their house a deformed or retarded child. They consider that a misfortune. People that are very prideful and they wish to be dressed in purple, to be in evidence, to show off. An empty cradle, someone that wishes to have a baby, to make a family, and for some reason they cannot. Anguish of betrayal, somebody that was betrayed, consider that really misfortune. Countless as the number of people who complain because their loved ones are immobilized with paralysis. A threatening creditor could also be considered a misfortune. And the loss of loved ones. So those are just examples of that. But then these are from the human standpoint, But first of all, let me go back a little. When we see people acting or reacting like this, we call that the illusion of control. Because people want to control their lives, other people's lives, the events, and that's not possible. So sometimes they react with anger, they turn against God, they blame other people, and that's the illusion of control. Because we can't and we don't have the power to control a lot of things in our lives. Some of them, yes, we can, when they are related to our free will, and we can make choices to go, to stay, to do, not to do, to be or not to be. But most, we cannot. So from the human standpoint, a misfortune is anything that disturbs a person's comfort, anything that goes against the immediate ambitions in which he takes pleasure. So everything that moves me out of my comfort zone may be considered a misfortune in my life. That's a discomfort. I do not want that. But from the spiritual standpoint, how is that seen? So a misfortune that would cause a great deal of sorrow to the morally weak becomes, to those who surrender to God, a spiritual gain for their immortal life, the real life. So here we see two different perspectives. As we are so attached to the material world, we can only see one of the perspectives. But as we grow, morally and spiritually, we may be able to see the spiritual standpoint. All of these challenges and misfortunes that we may go through will help us grow and help us be where we have to be. So, the disasters we have only in 2020, just to give an example. We had fires in California. It's been horrible what's been happening there. We had storms coming in to different states. We had explosions like in Beirut. And we had the problem with the refugees. So these are just some examples that you can see over here. That's from the newspaper. All of this happened between September and October of this year. So all of these are considered misfortunes. Yes, a lot of people lost their houses. A lot of people lost their lives. A lot of people lost loved ones. But there is always a way to recover after the shock, because first we go into a shock and we don't accept it. And then after that, we have to look at it and see, well, what can I do? And what can't I do? So that's how we have to look at it, right? The things that I can do that are in my hands, and the things that I cannot do, and that I have to trust the universe. Okay? So when we have these great catastrophes, we can be mesmerized, we can be shocked, but then good things also come out of it. So let's just see a few of them. Okay? So they shock public opinion, touching people's consciousness. So people are moved by these events. And once they are moved by these events, people associate involuntary work. You know, they collect and provide donations. They get involved in an effort to help victims and rebuild their lives. So good things also come out of it. And after the great scourges, there is a great mobilization of resources of all kinds, and we see it all over, okay? There are acts of heroism and inspiration and example to other people. So we have to look at the good side as well. And like I said, there is the human standpoint and a spiritual standpoint. There is always a reason for things to happen. And we also have to consider that when, for example, a storm hits one place, it doesn't hit the other one that is right here beside it. And this one was destroyed, and the other one was not. Why is that? It's also related to the energy of the place, you know. We send out so many thoughts to the universe that create thought forms. And some of them are good, and some are not. And sometimes we attract this. So besides the collective misfortunes, we also have the private woes, the things that happen in our private lives. So we have people that may be sick in the hospital, people that suffered an accident. We have people that suffer with hunger, people that are homeless, and we have people that are in terminal conditions in a hospital as well. So those are private woes. So when we look at the work of Kardec, he draws our attention to these hidden misfortunes. He calls that hidden misfortunes because nobody sees, and it's not shown in the media like a big catastrophe. you know. So he calls our attention to these misfortunes that he calls hidden misfortunes. And he says that there are needy people everywhere, and that we have to look at it and be more charitable, you know. We have to try to minimize the suffering of these people. Not only look at the big disasters, but also look around us and see what's happening. See a friend in need, you know, somebody that needs support, either emotional or material. We don't know, but we have to pay attention. We have to get to know people. We have to get closer to people. We are living in a society that is so individualized. You know, people don't look at each other anymore. They say, hi, and keep moving. You do not stop. You don't really care about what that person is feeling. You don't really notice if that person is in anguish of some sort. And that's why Kardec draws our attention into these hidden misfortunes. So being charitable, it's not easy because it requires some effort from us. First, it requires willpower and dedication. It's easy, you know, to make a donation once a month somewhere. But like real charity is the one that is always in movement. You know, it's the one that you go after people that are in need. It also requires detachment from the things you have, from the people you live with. It's not easy. You know, we have a family, we have kids. Of course, we're going to give attention to them first. But we should find some time to help other people. Unconditional love is looking at the other and seeing the other as my brother, as my sister in God, without judgment. Exemplify the gospel of Christ. How many of us do that? And compassion. That's very important, to be compassionate. Not to have pity. We shouldn't pity anybody, but have compassion, have unconditional love, and help people. But who engineers the tests and expiations we undergo? Is it our neighbor? Is it God up above? Is it my enemy that doesn't like me? What do you think? None of them, right? So according to Spiritism, the tests and expiations we undergo are actually engineered by ourselves. Right? For the reparation of our past faults, the suffering which we encounter and overcome provides the means of our liberation from guilt and the attainment of a peaceful conscience. So we choose that. We choose the trials and expiations we want to go through, so we can free our souls from our faults from the past. What about losses? In Matthew, he says, "But lay up for yourself treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal." So what is he saying here? What kind of treasure do we have to gather up? Not the material ones, right? Not money, not jewelry, not houses, not cars. Not that it's not that we cannot have it. By all means, if you can, yes. But remember to gather treasures for your soul, to develop the virtues that you have, to develop all of the seeds that God planted in your consciousness. And a lot of them are dormant because we haven't awakened them yet. And that's what we have to do. We have to awaken all of these virtues one by one. And then we are going to gather treasures for the soul, not just for this material life. Because once we leave this body, we are not going to take any of this. So even with prudence and moderation, you will be called upon to learn detachment. So everything we go through, if we lose a job, okay, if we lose a house or a car or any material thing, if we lose a person that we love, we are called to practice detachment. And we are not being selfish practicing detachment from the loved ones. We are not. That's something we have to learn because evolution is an individual path. As a passing usufructuary of the blessings that congratulate you, you will not obtain a certificate of possession on such resources. So that means you can't take everything wherever you go when you disincarnate. So when life invites you to the necessary renovations, even though you suffer the painful surgery of detachment, keep yourself in control of yourself. That's very important. We always have to keep the control, to be balanced. We are not in control of other things, but we need to be balanced. We need to be centered and grounded so we can face it and go through it. Today, it is the sun who changes. Tomorrow, a bond that breaks. Then it's a stolen asset beyond a job that is removed. They are not losses, they are changes. And sometimes it's difficult to accept changes. People don't like changes. People like comfort. People like to be where they are. And if possible, do not move. And that's scientifically explained. Because we do have in our brain something that tells us, stay right there, don't move. Don't go anywhere. So keep calm and balance yourself so that you understand the message of God addressed to you in the changes that existence calls for. So we are all called for it. The pains of loss are precious prescriptions against the illusions we carry. How many of us, if we look back into our lives, and see how many changes we've gone through, don't you think that now you're a better person because of that? I do. I face my challenges and I keep facing them. But I think that every time now that I face a challenge, I'm a little stronger than I was before. I cry less and I whine less. So, we all go through things. So let's see, do you consider yourself unlucky or a victim of circumstance? So let me see what you've got. Do you have a house? Or it doesn't matter if you own or you rent, but do you? Do you have food on your table? Do you have some money in the bank that you can pay your bills? Can you afford to take a vacation here and there, a day or two, and go to Naples, for instance? Can you fly in an airplane? Are you in good health? Do you have a work, a job? Do you have a spirituality in your life? And do you have friends and family? Like, I would say that most of us have most of it here in the US. There are a few that don't. You know, they have their private walls. But most of us, we do. So we should consider ourselves lucky and not unlucky. So when you come to earth, it's like God gave you a garden. And he told you, plant flowers over there. But you come here and you plant thorns. And then you have to walk on the thorns. And it hurts. It really hurts. And sometimes it bleeds. But I planted them. So what do I have to do now? I have to walk on them. But I have an option. I can change that situation. I can go there and pick them up. I'm tired of you. I don't want you in my life anymore. I'm going to start planting flowers. And so once I start planting these flowers, then they're going to bloom and become colorful and pretty. And then my life will be more colorful and prettier. So what is real misfortune? Real misfortune is the lack of faith in God while living in pain and desperation without the blessed support of belief and hope. So the first thing that we do when something bad happens is go into desperation instead of believing and hoping for the best. So that's what misfortune is not to have faith, is not hoping for anything better than what we're facing at the moment. So what should you do when you face a misfortune then? Pray. Pray is a good thing to do anytime, anywhere. You don't have to have a special place. You just have to elevate your thoughts to the Lord up above and say a prayer. Say a prayer for somebody. Say a prayer for yourself. Ask for help. Okay? So those who experience misfortune should keep their confidence even while in the midst of pain and anguish. Even so, when you are really, really sad, and that happens, don't stop believing. Don't lose your faith. God is still up there watching over you. And all of the guardian angels and spirit guides are there. Sometimes we don't realize it. We don't see it, but they are there. We just don't notice it because we are in a different vibration. So they await to help of divine mercy. They do not rebel, nor blame anyone, and may even glorify, love, and give thanks for the suffering they endure. So people that have faith, they are not going to blame anybody else for what they're going through. They are not going to turn against God because they believe that God is good, God is just. And we don't know what we did in the past. So, through misfortunes, an awakened spirit can always extract the blessings of consolation and balance if he remains faithful to himself, to the Creator who created him to be happy. Many unwarily consider the loss of loved ones a true misfortune, when in reality death is not destruction, but liberation. And I've read many books from people that work with hypnosis. And when people go back into past lives, and when they see their passages from this life into the spiritual realm, they said that it's so much happiness when they go back that they don't even know why people cry when others die. But that's in our culture. There are other cultures where they celebrate, right? So the saint and the apostle, the angel and the good messenger, all are forged and purified in the fire of suffering to which they acquiesce and which they overcome. So all of the angels went to trials before they became angels. And one day we are going to reach a higher level of spirituality. We are going to reach a more elevated state. Right? So what can we learn when we face a misfortune? So pain, grievances, anguish, or despair are the treatments by which life helps the sick and obstinate soul to achieve true recovery. So through all of this, we're going to recover from our past mistakes. The soul will then return to the high objectives of the greater life, which is evolution. We are all here to evolve. And happiness is only reached later on by a soul that has made restitutions of all its overdue commitments. Okay? And here we have the law of cause and effect. When I have restituted everything that I needed to restitute, then I'll find complete happiness. Not in this world, though. So, the causes of our afflictions may be where? In the past or in this present life. Sometimes I come to this life, like I said, to plant flowers. But we make so many mistakes, sometimes because we are unaware and unconscious of them, but sometimes because we are stubborn. And that's the way I want it, and that's the way I'm going to do it. Okay, fine. But take responsibility for your acts. Don't blame other people. Don't come cry to me. And sometimes, if they are not in the present, they can only be in the past. And that's the law of reincarnation. For those who do not believe in reincarnation, it's hard to go through things and question, why? Why me? I've been a good person my whole life. I never killed an ant. Why am I going through this? If there is no explanation whatsoever in this present life, the cause is in our past lives. So, the justice of the afflictions, according to the gospel, the compensation promised by Jesus to the afflicted of this earth can only be effected in a future life. Without the certainty of this future, these maxims would be contradiction. Still more, they would be a decoy. Even with this certainty, it is difficult to understand the convenience of suffering in order to be happy. It is said that it is to acquire greater merit. Okay? So that's what I said. We question and we're not sure because we don't see the immediate results of it. But we have to look ahead. We have to do our best now, and everything we do in the present will reflect in our future. So in order to be able to judge, we must first consider the consequences. Thus, in order to more fully appreciate what is really fortunate or unfortunate for man, we must transport ourselves beyond the vision of this life. For it is only there that the consequences can begin to be felt. So everything called unhappiness, according to the short-sightedness of human beings, ends with the body and receives its compensation in the future life. So that's also in the gospel. And again, Matthew always brings so much knowledge and so many great things that help you cheer up. So he says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." So if we are meek, if we are humble, and we have something called acceptance, which is accept the things that I cannot change and do every effort to change what is possible. So I have to see what's in my hands, what I can do and what I cannot do. And that's where humbleness comes in. Because if I'm humble enough, I will have acceptance. I'm not going to blame other people. I'm going to look at my own self and accept it and do what I can, if I can. And Lacordaire in the Gospel according to Spiritism says, "Blessed are the afflicted" may be translated in the following manner. Blessed are those who have occasion to prove their faith, firmness, perseverance, and submission to the will of God, because they will have multiplied 100 times the happiness they lacked on earth, for after labor comes repose. And that's beautifully said. You know? And the last quote of the night is from Viktor Frankl. He's the creator of the logosophy, I think it's called. And he has so many brilliant teachings that are so close to Spiritism. And then he says, I'm sorry, I went too fast. Pain from problems and disappointments, etc., is inevitable in life. But suffering is a choice determined by whether you choose to compare your experience in pain to something better and therefore feel unlucky and bitter, or to something worse and therefore feel lucky and grateful. So it's a choice, you know. It's our free will acting here. I can see myself as a miserable person and complain for the rest of my life, or I can do something that is possible and change the situation where I'm in. So I have to look at things always with a amplified lens and see the future ahead of me, not getting stuck in the past, and live in the present. So that was all that I have for tonight. I hope I have brought something that will contribute for you to think about, some food for thought. And I thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miriam, for that wonderful talk. It was excellent. Let's do some announcements. All right. So first, if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, please do that. You'll get all the notifications whenever we have upcoming events or when we go live. So make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you get all the notifications there. And also, we broadcast on Facebook as well. So if you follow us on Facebook, you'll get the notifications there. So you have the option of viewing through YouTube or through Facebook. Tuesdays at 7 p.m., we are doing meditation. So it's a great time to take a moment and reflect on things that are going on and to take a step back and put things in perspective. So Tuesday, 7 p.m., you are invited to join for the meditation, and that is also on YouTube. Also on Tuesday at 8 p.m., we have a study group in the realms of mediumship, the book by Chico Javier and Andre Luis. I'm in this study group, and it has been invaluable for me, not only learning about mediumship, but also applying it to your daily life. There's so many situations in the book about relationships and your life and what happens when you pass over, and just so many different situations. To me, it's really helped me a lot in my life, and everyone in the group has been great, and they really enjoy it too. So we invite you to join us. That's through Zoom, 8 p.m. on Tuesdays. So this Saturday, October 17th, we have codfish au gratin. I've heard that this is excellent. I missed out on this last time, so I'm definitely gonna order it this time. So this is a way that we help the center out, raising money. We encourage you to order some food, and it's always good. So you can't lose. It's a win-win situation. You get some great food, and you also help the center out. So please, if you can, order your food. And we also have several dessert choices this Saturday. We have brigadeiro flan, or chocolate flan, coconut pudding, and condensed milk flan. So those sound delicious. Don't be shy. Order more than one. Order one of all three, and he can help us out here at the center. So to close, I would like to invite everyone for a short prayer to close on the evening. Let us be thankful for this moment. Let us be thankful for all the things that we have in our lives, all the blessings that we have that we may be overlooking, all of the support that we have around us that we are afraid to seek out or embarrassed to ask for help. Let's not forget that there is always help around us, in our family, our friends, even co-workers you work with. We all have many challenges to face in our lives, and this is a part of our growth here on this planet. We should embrace every moment with love and invite peace into our hearts. Let us always remember that we are loved deeply by our family, our mentors, always helping us, gently pushing us in the right direction at every moment, at every turn, every difficulty, every challenge. They're there helping you, trying to invite you to make better choices, to help others, to love, and to understand each other. It's more important than ever to embrace these ideas, to set an example, to try your hardest, put your best foot forward. Let us not forget the importance of prayer in our lives, the importance of inviting good thoughts, asking why we feel certain emotions, not being afraid to ask those questions, to understand more why we are going through what we are going through. Many times we choose to suffer, but very quickly, your situation, your perspective can change with just some positive thoughts, some positive habits, small changes, small steps that lead to big transformations and big changes. So remembering the words that we heard tonight, remembering all the lessons that we have learned and have yet to learn, let us leave tonight in peace, with love, and carry that with us as we go on throughout our lives. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Good night. So be it.